I'm an actor by trade, but I'm an activist by nature. Somebody who's always believed that we must find the balance between what we develop for our survival and what we preserve for survival.
Despite my best efforts, I believe that it is impossible to avoid that. I'm sorry, but I can't keep doing this forever. Since I was 21 years old, I have been doing it. You reach the point in your life where you say, hey, that's enough right now. Robert Redford has been altered in ways that no one could have possibly imagined as a result of a life-altering tragedy. It is becoming increasingly difficult for the legendary actor to bear the burden of personal loss and adversity as he approaches his 90th birthday party. A story of profound anguish and perseverance lies beneath his glitzy appearance and the illustrious career he has achieved. What kinds of difficulties has he encountered behind the scenes? What experiences have contributed to the development of this cherished Hollywood icon into the person he is today? As we uncover the untold struggles and quiet strength of Robert Redford, we will reveal the heartbreaking reality of his life. We invite you to join us in this journey. In the end, it turned out to be one of the most interesting and satisfying relationships I've ever had. A life that was marked by both tragedies and triumphs. For a very long time, the name Robert Redford has been linked to high levels of success, charisma, and charm in the entertainment industry. His performances in classic films such as Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid and The Sting have garnered a lot of recognition and admiration from audiences for many years. However, the story that lies behind the fame is one that is filled with personal tragedy and bravery. Given that Redford is getting close to his 90th birthday, we take a moment to reflect on the challenges and setbacks that helped mold him into the person he eventually became and shaped his perspective on life and fame. His life was not solely composed of the numerous successes he achieved on the big screen. In addition to that, it was about losing a loved one and personal struggles. His parents, Charles Redford, who had worked as a milkman before becoming an accountant, and Martha Hart, who encouraged her son to pursue his dreams, welcomed him into the world on August 18, 1936 in Santa Monica, California. Although his early years appeared to be full of promise, tragedy struck when he was only 18 years old. He was profoundly impacted by the loss of his mother Martha, who passed away in the year 1955. After some time had passed, he admitted that he had a regret that he had taken her for granted when he was younger, a regret that remained with him for generations. Unfortunately, Martha passed away as a result of complications that arose after the birth of twin girls who did not make it through their birth. In spite of the fact that she was advised by her doctor to avoid having another child, she desired to have a larger family. The unfortunate outcome of her determination was that she developed a blood disorder, which ultimately resulted in her passing when she was still a teenager. The passing of his loved one left a significant void in his life and signaled the beginning of a string of personal challenges that would continue to be with him throughout his entire life. Immediately following the passing of his mother, he struggled with feelings of grief and isolation. The arts provided him with solace, which ultimately led him to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. On the other hand, his path to Hollywood fame was anything but smooth. When he was a teenager, he was defiant and frequently got himself into trouble for his actions. Petty theft and risky behaviors such as drag racing were among the things he became involved in. In the course of this time period, there were run-ins with the law, including an arrest for possessing stolen jewelry. On a later occasion, he referred to this particular occurrence as a wake-up call that strengthened his resolve to make positive changes in his life. Despite all of these obstacles, he was able to secure a sports scholarship to attend the University of Colorado, where he joined the baseball team. It wasn't long before his enthusiasm for the arts began to outweigh his interest in athletics. Regrettably, the freedom he had gained at college led him down a path that was fraught with difficulties. It was because of his heavy drinking that he was unable to keep his scholarship and was ultimately forced to withdraw from school. This setback, on the other hand, served as yet another major turning point in his life. After resolving to find a new path in life, he relocated to Europe and began his studies in painting there. It broadened his perspective and provided him with a renewed sense of purpose as a result of the experience. To pursue a career in acting, he eventually went back to the United States, a choice that would irrevocably alter the path that his life would take from that point forward. He became a long-lasting Hollywood star as a result of his bravery in the face of adversity. Despite the fact that his journey was not an easy one, what kind of challenges did he encounter in his marriage? A series of heartbreaks after another. Despite the fact that he was admired by everyone, Robert had to deal with significant challenges in his family life that went beyond the spotlight. His marriage to Lola Van Wagenen took place in 1958. In a short amount of time, the young couple fell victim to a tragic event. Sadly, their young son, Scott, passed away due to an illness. The loss was devastating, particularly considering the fact that they were already dealing with financial difficulties. Later on, Redford referred to this period of his life as one of the most difficult times. He and Lola decided to continue building their family despite the pain that they were experiencing, and they leaned on each other. Shauna, Jamie, and Amy were the names of their subsequent children, which they went on to have. However, their problems were not even close to being resolved. Jamie, the couple's second son, was born prematurely and suffered from severe breathing issues as a result of hyaline membrane disease, which put his life in jeopardy. Jamie managed to pull through despite the odds. However, the event still left a deep scar on the family, and Redford carried those concerns with him for many years after it occurred. As a parent, one of the most difficult challenges he faced was witnessing his children go through difficult times. Once upon a time, he revealed that nothing hurt him more than witnessing the suffering of his children. This was especially clear in the case of Jamie, who experienced a greater number of health issues during his teenage years. The chronic illness known as ulcerative colitis, which Jamie eventually developed into cirrhosis of the liver, was discovered by Jamie. He received a liver transplant when he was 31 years old, which gave his family reason to have hope. Nevertheless, complications necessitated that he undergo yet another transplant. As a result of the stress and worry, Redford and his family were under a lot of pressure. Even though he was a busy actor and director, he never missed an opportunity to be with his son. During the time that Quiz Show was being filmed in New York, he made it a point to travel to Omaha on the weekends in order to be by Jamie's side in the hospital. Jamie eventually made a full recovery and established a meaningful life for herself as a filmmaker and an advocate for the environment. Once upon a time, his marriage to Lola Van Wagenen was considered to be among the most successful in Hollywood. They got married before he became a famous figure all over the world and put in a lot of effort to build a life together. However, the relationship between them was molded by both his demanding career in Hollywood and the personal tragedies that he had experienced. The first few years of their marriage were challenging for them. Although they had only $300 in their possession, they were determined to establish a life that was secure. On the other hand, the death of their first child, Scott, left emotional wounds that never became completely healed. Because of his growing fame, he was frequently absent from his home for extended periods of time, leaving his wife to handle the health concerns of their children and the household chores on her own. Lola sacrificed her own aspirations in order to provide for her family, which resulted in a significant burden being placed on her shoulders. Eventually, his career reached new heights, and he was away from home for several months due to the fact that he was working on major films such as The Natural and Out of Africa. Due to the distance between them, their relationship became strained, and in 1985, after 28 years of marriage, they finalized their divorce. In a conversation that took place in 2001, he described their decision to divorce as one that was mutual, but filled with regret. In spite of the fact that their marriage ended, Redford and Lola continued to be close friends, connecting through the profound love they shared for their children. When he thought back on the time they had spent together, he expressed his regret not only over the breaking of their relationship, but also about the effect it had on their family. The tragedy that befell Robert Redford's children caused him to experience a more profound level of heartbreak, a nightmare that every father dreads. Despite the fact that the public perceives Redford as a man who has achieved fame and fortune, the reality of his life is significantly more complicated than the glitz and glamour that he portrays on screen. Redford is best known for his role as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He has endured profound personal struggles and losses that have molded his journey, which is the driving force behind his success. The death of his son Jamie, who was 58 years old at the time from liver cancer, was one of the most heartbreaking events that occurred in his life in the year 2020. As someone who had already been through a great deal of suffering throughout his life, Redford was dealt a significant blow by this loss. Their shared passion for telling stories and preserving the natural world served as the foundation for the strong bond that existed between the father and son. Jamie, who was a filmmaker and an activist for the environment, left behind a legacy that was filled with hope and passion. The fact that his life was cut short despite the fact that he had survived 2 liver transplants and a great deal of health struggles, left a hole in his father's heart that could never be filled. As someone who places a high value on his privacy, Redford made the decision to grieve in private with his family at his ranch in Utah. Through this trying time, his family has also requested that they be given privacy. A publicist named Cindy Berger issued a statement in which she referred to Jamie as a devoted son, husband, and father, who left an impression on everyone he came in contact with through his warmth. When Redford lost another son, it was a painful reminder of how fragile life is. This loss added to the many sorrows that he had already experienced in his life. The anguish that comes with the death of a child is incomprehensible, and for him, this was not the first time he had experienced such a profound sense of loss. The loss of Jamie brought this to the forefront once more, as he had previously expressed the anguish he felt when he witnessed the suffering of his children. Despite the fact that the entire world mourned alongside him, he demonstrated that no amount of fame can shield a person from the most difficult challenges that life has to offer. His difficulties as a parent began a long time before Jamie's health problems, as he had already experienced the worst nightmare that every parent can possibly imagine, which was the death of his child. As a result of his decision to keep his suffering private, he only rarely discussed it in public. He did not reveal the extent of the impact it had on him until many years later, when he did so through interviews and memoirs. In the hopes of preventing other families from going through the same anguish, he quietly supported research on sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. In a miraculous turn of events, a courageous bystander dove into the treacherous water to save her. In spite of the fact that he was relieved by her rescue, her father was yet again reminded of the precarious nature of life. Redford's family was once again thrust into tragedy when his daughter Shauna's fiancé, Sid Wells, was murdered in 1983. As if the loss of his son and daughter's close brush with death were not enough, Redford's family was once again thrust under the knife of tragedy. The body of Wells, a student of journalism at the University of Colorado, was discovered in his flat with a gunshot wound to the head. Thane Smyka, who was his flatmate, was the primary suspect in this case. However, because there was insufficient evidence to support a conviction, Smyka was released from custody and then disappeared, leaving the murder case unsolved. The Redford family was extremely burdened by the consequences of this crime that had not been solved. Sid's death left Shauna, who was deeply in love with him, heartbroken and haunted by the questions that remained unanswered about the circumstances surrounding his passing. Redford himself was profoundly affected, and he frequently reflected on how the murder of his daughter's fiancé felt like yet another cruel development in the course of events. In spite of the fact that law enforcement has redoubled their efforts to bring Smyka to justice, the investigation has not been resolved, which casts a gloomy shadow over the family. In the face of the unexpected death of friends and family members, Robert Redford's resilience was put to the test. What emotional toll did he face? A distinct and unparalleled friendship. The year 1950 marked the beginning of Robert Redford's rise to prominence in the Hollywood film industry. Through his performance in the Broadway play Barefoot in the Park, in which he co-starred with Elizabeth Ashley, he experienced his first significant breakthrough. His youthful appearance and innate talent attracted the attention of filmmakers almost immediately, which resulted in him landing his first major film role in 1965, which was in the film Inside Daisy Clover, which also starred Natalie Wood. This event marked the beginning of a profound friendship between Redford and Wood, a connection that would remain with him across the entirety of his professional life. Natalie Wood's life was cut tragically short in 1981 due to circumstances that remain a mystery. She was on a boating trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and actor Christopher Walken when she tragically passed away from drowning. After spending time working together, Redford had developed a close relationship with Wood, and he was devastated by the news. In addition to her status as a colleague, he had admired her in the capacity of a friend. The loss of her was a devastating blow, and it caused him to contemplate the precarious nature of life. After some time had passed, he expressed his admiration for the genuine and authentic person that Natalie Wood was beneath the surface of her celebrity position. Inside Daisy Clover, the film that Wood and Redford worked together on, was instrumental in Redford's career launch, and he would always remember her with a great deal of affection. During the times when he was going through the ups and downs of his own life, he discovered solace and determination in his friendships, particularly the one he shared with another actor named Paul Newman. When they were working together on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they became friends. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and it carried over into their personal lives, where they not only had a mutual respect for one another, but also a sly sense of humor they shared with one another. Pranks were something that the two were known for playing on one another. On the occasion of Newman's 50th birthday, Redford presented him with an old Porsche that had been dented. However, Newman later had the automobile crushed and returned it to Redford in the form of a sculpture. This friendly competition was a constant in their friendship. However, it was abundantly clear that their connection extended far beyond the realm of jokes. When his marriage to Lola Van Wagenen came to an end in 1985, after 28 years of marriage, Newman was there for him all the way through it. It was a brotherly connection that helped him get through some of the most difficult times in his life, and he described their relationship as being more than just a Hollywood friendship. In addition, he sought Newman out during times of personal crisis, and he was able to depend on his friend's consistent presence at all times. The tragic news that Newman had passed away in 2008 left Redford in utter disbelief. He expressed that the loss of Newman was comparable to the loss of a brother, and he frequently reflected on the laughter and joy that they had shared over the years. This represented a stark contrast to the sorrow that he had experienced throughout his life. Not only did the deaths of Natalie Wood and Paul Newman represent significant emotional turning points for him, but they also brought to light the significance of friendship in his life. In what ways did his messy relationship with fame influence the choices he made regarding his career and the legacy he left behind in Hollywood? A complicated relationship with fame. Despite the many accomplishments he has accomplished, Robert has always had a complicated relationship with fame. Despite the fact that he became a Hollywood icon due to his rugged good looks and undeniable charm, he frequently expressed discomfort with the public attention that came with his celebrity status. His desire to be recognized for his abilities, rather than his appearance, was a source of frustration that he frequently expressed to those who were within his immediate circle. His struggle with fame was made clear when he was rejected for the role of Benjamin Braddock in The Graduate. The reason for this rejection was that the filmmakers believed he was too handsome to convincingly portray a character who struggled with women. It wasn't a lack of talent that prevented him from landing certain roles. Rather, it was his appearance. This is something that he once bemoaned, saying that people tend to focus on the hair, the teeth, and the looks, rather than the acting. In order to take charge of his career and break free from the constraints of being typecast, he moved behind the camera. He won the Academy Award for Best Director for his work on the film Ordinary People, which was released in 1980. As a result of this change, Robert Redford was able to shift his attention to telling stories in a different manner, which assisted him in moving away from the superficial and pretended aspects of Hollywood fame. He started devoting more of his time and energy to projects that were more significant to him and that reflected his genuine interests and principles, rather than simply acting in popular films. His life and career underwent a significant transformation as a result of this shift, which enabled him to discover a greater sense of personal fulfillment outside of the bright lights of Hollywood. On the other hand, even as he contemplates his professional life, he freely acknowledges that the pressure to uphold a particular public image has taken a significant toll on him over the course of his career. Later on in his career, he became more selective about the roles he played, selecting projects that were congruent with his own personal beliefs and principles. He was able to step away from the spotlight on his own terms, thanks to films such as All Is Lost and The Old Man and the Gun, both of which he declared would be his final performances. Despite the fact that he acknowledges that decades spent in the public eye have left their mark, he acknowledges that there are times when he wishes he could have lived a life away from the spotlight. His decision to retire from acting was driven by a desire for a quieter life, free from the unrelenting expectations of Hollywood. Beyond the scope of his acting career, one of the most enduring legacies he has left behind is the contribution he has made to the independent film industry through the establishment of the Sundance Institute in 1981. Quentin Tarantino, Steven Soderbergh, and Ava DuVernay are just a few of the filmmakers who have had their careers launched by the Sundance Film Festival, which is held annually in Park City, Utah. The festival has become a prestigious platform for independent films. It was his dream to establish a venue in which creative individuals could freely express themselves without being constrained by the demands of commercial interests. The belief that he held that film had the ability to motivate people to make changes and to question established social norms was the driving force behind the transformation of Sundance into a cultural phenomenon that has had an impact on the wider landscape of media and storytelling. Even though he resigned from his position as the public face of Sundance in 2019, he has not wavered in his dedication to promoting the local arts community. The success of the festival can be attributed in large part to his unwavering commitment to fostering the development of new talented individuals and promoting independent voices. The question is, how has the process of Robert Redford's aging affected his professional life, his health, and his personal life? Health problems and the passage of time both take their toll. The inevitable toll that time takes on the body is something that Robert Redford must contend with as he approaches the age of 90. He was frequently praised as one of the most attractive leading men in Hollywood, and he was known for his athletic physique because of it. However, as he got older, he began to experience health problems that he could no longer ignore. Over the course of many years, he had been successful in sustaining an energetic and active lifestyle. He frequently went skiing, hiking, and participated in other outdoor activities at his ranch in Utah. Nevertheless, the physical demands that he had to endure during his younger years started to catch up with him. He has been candid about the aches and pains that come with getting older, frequently discussing how his once boundless energy has turned into a requirement for more rest. He has been open about these issues. An alteration in his behavior has been observed by his friends and family, who have reported that he appears to be more thoughtful and reflective. Redford has stated that he has become more reflective and slower as he has gotten older, which has caused him to focus more on what is truly significant. He has experienced the emotional toll of losing friends and loved ones over the years, in addition to the physical changes that have occurred since he was born. He experienced feelings of isolation as a result of the passing of close friends such as Paul Newman, as well as other people from his days as a filmmaker. Despite the fact that he doesn't talk about it very often, it is evident from the way that he now lives a more quiet life. Despite the fact that he continues to work on his artistic and environmental projects, those who are close to him have observed that he is noticeably less energetic than he was in the past. Indeed, he continues to be resilient in spite of these challenges. His commitment to the causes that are important to him, such as the preservation of the natural world, is something that he considers to be a part of his legacy. Through his involvement with the Sundance Institute and his commitment to the production of independent films, he ensures that his impact on the industry will continue long after he is no longer around. On the other hand, it is undeniable that this Hollywood legend has been shaped by the course of almost 90 years of life. How have the challenges he has faced throughout his life changed him into the person he is today? A life spent in introspection. Despite the fact that he is getting close to his 90th birthday, his life acts as a compelling narrative of both triumph and tragedy. The personal life of Redford was marked by profound sorrow and loss, despite the fact that a significant portion of his public persona was characterized by glitz and glamour. Indelible marks have been left on his soul as a result of the passing of his mother, the struggles that his children have faced with their health, the passing of close friends, and the dissolution of his marriage. On the other hand, he has shown courage throughout it all by channeling his suffering into the pursuit of his passions. He has developed a greater capacity for introspection, and he frequently discusses the life lessons he has acquired along the way. He admits that although fame brought him wealth and recognition, it also came with a cost, which he was frequently unwilling to pay. He acknowledges that this was the case. After spending his entire life in the spotlight, he has made the decision to take a break from acting and concentrate on his personal life. This decision reflects his desire to find peace. He now finds solace in the straightforward pleasures that life has to offer. He spends his days taking pleasure in the company of his grandchildren, working on conservation projects, and quietly reflecting on a life that has been anything but ordinary. He is surrounded by his family and the natural world. His life serves as a powerful illustration of the capacity of the human spirit to persevere, adjust, and discover meaning in spite of the challenges that it faces. Whether it be the dashing Sundance Kid, the charming Jay Gatsby, or the fearless investigative journalist in All the President's Men, he will forever be remembered by a great number of people. To those who are familiar with his background, however, he is much more than that. He is a man who has shown grace in the face of life's most difficult challenges, a father who has been there for his children during the most difficult times in their lives, and a friend who places the utmost importance on loyalty. Despite the fact that he is getting closer to the end of his life, he continues to serve as a symbol of strength and a reminder that even in the face of unfathomable sorrow, there is always a way to find redemption and peace. He is getting close to his 90th birthday, and his influence extends far beyond the realm of film. Throughout his career, he has left an indelible mark on the world of independent film, Hollywood, and environmental causes. At this moment, he is quietly celebrating the beginning of a new year at his tranquil ranch in Utah, leaving behind a story of bravery and dedication to the causes that are important to him. His life, which was full of both joy and difficulties, serves as a reminder of the strength of the human spirit and will serve as an inspiration to future generations. I am curious about your thoughts regarding the tragedies that Robert Redford has been through. What other information about his life could be gleaned from his struggles? In the comment section, please be sure to share your thoughts with us. For additional content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Furthermore, click the following video that is displayed on your screen. You are going to take pleasure in it.